Cool. All right, guys, thanks for coming. I know it's cold outside, so you guys listen, we did a meeting in St. George the other day, and it was raining. How many people showed up? 10? 15? It was terrible, and their excuse was the rain, so I'm glad you guys are here. Appreciate it. So I'm not going to take very much time because Seth has to get to the airport here in a minute. But tonight you guys were lucky. My name is Zach Warner, for you guys who don't know me. But we get Seth, Campbell to come present for you guys tonight, and Geraldo. Seth's a pro 9 in the business. He's succeeded at that level. It's exciting for network marketing, and for me, it's changing my life watching what he's done. So it's exciting to be able to introduce him to you guys. Before network marketing, he's an average Joe. Even in network marketing, he's still an average Joe. I can say because my brother-in-law, just in network marketing, kills it. So I'm gonna bring him up, and so Seth, you can come up and take over. So here you guys go.
Multicolored pens. If you guys want to take notes. No, I'm not going to say anything that I would recommend you right now. But those pens look cool, so if you want one, you can help yourself with pens. So. All right. Well, you guys, this is a very different kind of meeting because I feel like I'm doing a meeting with corporate, kind of. Like I've got to be careful what I say because corporate's in the room, but it's not really. Half of you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, but I'll explain in just a minute. Anyway, I'm going to just, all I'm going to do tonight, you guys, is just tell you my story, tell you a little bit about what my experience has been for the last 9 years of my life being a part of this thing, and really explain to you why you're here. Those of you that were dragged here by a friend or family member, those of you that are guests and hear this for the first time. And one problem I am going to have is I see that there's a Facebook Live going on, and I have to pace a lot. That's like my thing. Ricky Bobby has the hands, my feet. I don't know what to do with my feet, so I'm always moving. So I'm only going to be in your screenshot probably 40% of the time, tops. So anyways, that's a joke. I'll stay in the screenshot. Anyways, I'm trying to see if I can read those comments. I can't. People could be hating on me right now. I would never know it. So what I want to do right now, you guys, is to really just explain to you why you're here. Give you a little bit of an overview of this business and really what it's looked like for me. Tell you a bit about where I came from, and it's going to be really simple and short and sweet. And I'm going to bring up another person that's going to speak to you for just a few minutes that I'm actually thrilled to bring up because I've traveled with this guy all around the world. We've traveled multiple different places in the United States. We've traveled as far away as Australia multiple times together. We've done all kinds of meetings, and him and I were actually just in Kansas City last week, and he's got a really, really unique story. And so I'm excited to bring him up. And so I'm going to get there quickly. I'm going to just be with you guys for maybe 15 minutes or so, and then bring this guy up. A lot of you are probably here to hear him. How many of you know Geraldo? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you feel weird that you're here to hear Geraldo, the distributor? Weird, right? So anyway, guys, let me just begin at the beginning. I was 24 years old when I was introduced to the stuff that you're getting introduced to tonight. Those of you that are guests, I was sitting in your seat not that long ago, in my early 20s. And what happened for me was I was a full-time college student. I was kind of just plugging away, living life. I was, I would get jealous when people would talk about living paycheck to paycheck. That's one of the things that you hear all the time. People live paycheck to paycheck. If I were to say 97% of the population lives paycheck to paycheck, how many of you would agree? Okay. I hear people say that all the time. I don't know what percentage of the population I fell into, but when I was 22 and 23 and 24, I never lived paycheck to paycheck because I could never get a paycheck to make it to the next paycheck. Have any of you ever experienced that before? Where you run out of money and you're like, there's still 9 days left. That's a lot of month. And you go up and take inventory of how much ramen noodles you have and if you got a full loaf of bread or not, I lived that, right? When I was a college student, things were tight, things were tough. But what happened for me was I was naive. And I thought, I'm going to just plug away, I'm going to graduate, and then things will be easy. As soon as I have my degree, life will be good. I'll have plenty of money, I'll have plenty of time. I'll play golf probably 3-4 days a week. I'll get really good at golf, all these fantasies I had, right? What happened for me was I started to come to the realization in my early 20s that 97% kind of stays the same. It's all of society. 97% of the population live paycheck to paycheck. And if I were to also say that 97% of the population spends the bulk of their time doing what they don't want to do, doing something that they're not excited and thrilled about, how many of you would agree with that statement? Most people spend the bulk of their time doing what they, maybe not doing the first choice. Now some people say, well, I love my job. That's good if you love your job, but I'm willing to bet if you had $100 million in the bank, you probably wouldn't go back to your job tomorrow, unless you really just don't like your family. Odds are you like your family more than your job, right? There's people you'd rather spend your time with than your coworkers, if we're honest. And so I looked at that, and I realized that's what I'm doing. I'm going to school so that I can live paycheck to paycheck for the rest of my life and spend my best 8 hours every single day away from my family, away from my hobbies, doing what I have to do to generate income. So that's kind of where my mind was at. Where my mind was at was I was asking this question at 24, and I want you guys to show me your hand if you've ever wondered this, if this question's ever come through your mind. What is the difference between, if we say 97% live paycheck to paycheck, that means 3% don't. How many of you know somebody that has plenty of money? Okay, so we know that not everybody's there. So what's the difference? That was the question I found myself asking. What's the difference between people that seem to just have an abundance of, financial abundance, and they've got plenty of time, and things just kind of are easy for them, so to speak. That's what I thought. Things are easy for them. What's the difference between those people and me? Why in the world is it that I don't live like that nobody I know lives like that? What's the difference? How many of you ever wondered that before? What's really the difference? And so that's where I was at when I was 24, and at that point in my life, I had a couple of gentlemen come into my life who really became my first mentors from a business standpoint. And I was introduced to these guys, and it was really all the information you're about to get, I got over the phone in about 8.5 minutes probably, from a gentleman named Marcel, who was one of my first mentors. And I was on the phone with this guy, and I was listening to him because he was part of that, what I would call 3%. He was somebody that had plenty of time, plenty of money. He lived life on his terms. He got to do the things he wanted to do. Stuff wasn't out of reach for him, and he lived the kind of life that I frankly wanted to live. So I was listening to him. And he's the guy that introduced me to all this stuff. And I realized a few things. Over the last 9 years working with some of these guys, there's a few things I've realized. I'm going to share those things with you guys real fast. I used to think, all the way up till 24, when I looked at people that were, successful or wealthy or whatever you want to call it, I used to think that they were talented. I now know that's not true, because I know some who are not talented. It's not looks, it's not looks, it's not skill, it's not talent. How many of you know a really ugly rich person? Only one person, 2 people raise their hand. Every one of you knows an ugly rich person. I could pull up Google and show you 3 or 4. I can show you a really well-known rich person right now that we all know that's really ugly. Talk about them every day, okay? Really, really rich, really anyway. It's not looks, it's not talent, it's not skill, it's not any of those things. And what I realized over the last 9 years is that if there's just a couple things you can recognize, there's a couple of things that if you can recognize and see them, you can put yourself in a position to completely change your life. Because that's what I did. That's what happened for me because of these mentors. And so I'm going to go over those 2 things really, really fast. I'm going to tell you where we fit in, and who we are as a company, and how we fit into these 2 things. Number 1, industry disruption. That's the first thing I've realized over the last almost decade. If you can learn to recognize industry disruption, that's the first key. You can set yourself up really, really nicely with that. Let me give you an example of what I mean. How many of you remember the last time you got up from your kitchen table and walked over to the wall to actually answer a telephone on the wall? Has anybody done that in the last 5 years? That's amazing. That's a vintage experience right there. You remember what that was like when the phone would ring and you had to stand up and walk to the phone? And then during the conversation you had to stay by the phone? I remember one thing that drives me crazy, because I've got a daughter that's 6 years old, and this is the thing that I legitimately am irritated by. When I was growing up, if I liked a girl, do you know what I had to do? I had to pick, I'm saying this because there are young people in this room, and it's going to blow your mind. I had to pick up the phone, and I had to call her house and talk to her dad or her mom. And say, "Hello, sir." My voice would always crack because I'm nervous. "Is so-and-so there?" And I'd have to ask for permission to speak to this girl. I hate the fact that my daughter's going to grow up in a world where somebody has text message access to her. Does that bug anybody else in here? It's amazing how things have advanced. When was the last time you put quarters into payphones? Can anybody remember doing that? Okay, so the point is, it doesn't happen very often. But the point is, we have watched, every one of us in this room have watched the entire telecommunications industry get completely disrupted. Completely disrupted. It's funny because my kids, every time I travel, they FaceTime me. And to them, that's like a very normal thing. They're growing up thinking that a phone call is a thing where you see the face of the person you're talking to. That is, to me, that's still like really cool new technology. To them, it's like they can't even comprehend the fact, a world where you can't do that. And so the telecommunication industry has been completely disrupted. There used to be entire business. I don't really know, but I'm sure there was probably a factory somewhere where somebody's job was to make the parts for a payphone. And that guy doesn't have a job anymore because they don't make payphones very often anymore. So what happened was somebody invented a superior technology, somebody figured out a better way to do things, and then an entire industry was disrupted, completely disrupted, turned on its side. We've all seen it happen, right? How many of you have a smartphone right now? You know what's incredible, how fast things have moved? Is that we have gone from having, it's not just now not having a landline anymore, but now if you have buttons on your phone, that's like outdated. You know what I mean? Like some people in here might have the jitterbug or something like that, a flip phone, but most people don't even, it's crazy, but think about this for a second. We probably have 30 phones in this room, and I'll bet we don't have 30 buttons. Isn't that weird? It's just a weird thing I think about. The fact that we've watched this industry transform so rapidly. So someone figured out a better way to do something, disrupted an entire industry. Let me give you another example. Do you guys remember what the experience was like on a Friday night when you wanted to rent a movie? So you go to Blockbuster. Is anybody, who here has actually never been inside of a Blockbuster? I have to know that. A few people, okay? You go pick your movie and stand in line and rent it and things like that. So I got to tell you a kind of a neat experience that somebody had in this company. There's a guy named Dave Fleming. He is our, and you have to help me with the title here, Geraldo, Senior Vice President of Global Development? Field Development. Senior Vice President of Field Development and Life Management, Dave Fleming. How many of you guys know Dave? So Dave, he used to work in Silicon Valley. This guy used to be in the tech industry. So he was out, I believe, he was out in California, in San Francisco airport, and he was standing in line waiting to board his plane behind two guys wearing nice suits, some executives with some major company, listening on their conversation, and he came to realize that these guys were executives with Blockbuster, which at the time was still really big. And he said that he overheard them talking about this new ridiculous Netflix thing, this little startup. No one's going to stream movies on their computers. That's never going to work. And these Blockbuster executives with their nice shiny suits are talking about how this Netflix idea is just going to come and go. Where's Blockbuster now?
Gone.
You don't rent movies anymore. You know, if I actually, as a matter of fact, if I gave you the greatest movie of all time and I handed it to you on a VHS, it would drive you crazy because you wouldn't be able to watch it. You'd have to wait because you have to go on Amazon and order a VCR and wait for a week for it to come to your house so you could actually watch the video. You know what I mean? So we've watched that happen. The way people watch entertainment has been completely disrupted because someone figured out a better way to do it. It's still happening. You guys, it's happening every single day. Did you know last year more Walmarts closed than open? Does that surprise anybody? There were more Walmarts that had to actually shut down than open. Walmart lost Walmart. Isn't that like the world domination? Walmart's everywhere. Everything is Walmart. Walmart lost market share last year. Why is that? Exactly. Because why in the world would you get in your car and drive to a Walmart, how inconvenient, and then go in there with your legs and use your feet to walk around and buy something when every one of you in here has a rich Uncle Jeff, and rich Uncle Jeff will send it to your doorstep, and he'll ship it to you for free, and it'll be $3 cheaper. Why go to Walmart? You know what I mean? For those of you who don't know, rich Uncle Jeff is Jeff Bezos. I get confused looks sometimes when I say that. People are like, I have a rich uncle? Holy God. I didn't know this. Texting your mom, do we have an Uncle Jeff? Anyway, Jeff Bezos has figured out a better way to get products into people's hands, and Walmart is suffering. And if they don't, I'm going to make a really bold prediction. If they don't adapt, they will die. That's called industry disruption. So let me ask you this question. What happened to the individuals that recognized that telecommunications was about to go mobile over the next 5 to 10 years? Where did those people position themselves? Pretty well, right? They made out pretty well. What about the individuals that recognized that the future of entertainment was not going into a store and picking up a DVD? It was streaming. It was going to be phones and tablets and computers. How'd they do? How'd people do when they invested in Netflix? Rather than trying to prop up the shares of Blockbuster. I don't know if Blockbuster was ever public or not even, but people that, stayed true to the old school way of doing things. How have people done the transition every time there's been industry disruption? People that can recognize it early make a lot of money. Okay, the second piece of this is timing, obviously. Timing is really, really important because you have to recognize that things are changing, that there's a trend moving in a certain direction, but you have to recognize it before it becomes obvious, because when it's obvious, it doesn't really do you any good. How many of you can go invest $10,000 in Apple right now? Everybody. You can buy $10,000 Apple stock. How many of you are going to make millions from that $10,000 investment? Nobody. Right? Probably. Unless Apple goes through another crazy, crazy growth. But if you take the same $10,000 and go back in time to when it was the Lisa computer or something like that, or the Apple II, how are you doing right now on that 10 grand? Very, very well. Apple's a better company today. The products are better today. They're more stable today. Everything is better about them today. Why is it that it was better to invest back then? Timing. So I'm going to tell you guys about another industry disruption. That if you can see it, and if you can recognize it, you can put yourself in a very good position. Okay, right now in the United States of America, another huge industry, tens of billions of dollars with a B, are being spent on anti-aging supplements and antioxidant supplements and people putting things in their bodies to try to stay younger. That's the whole point of this whole anti-aging industry, and it's a multi-billion dollar, it's a huge industry. As a matter of fact, not only is it a really big industry, but it's still growing really, 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 really rapidly. This matters to people. as people age, they don't want to feel the effects of aging, things like that. It's a huge industry. The entire industry has really been based around one technology, and that's antioxidants. How many of you have ever purchased an antioxidant supplement? How many of you ever purchased something that was bad for you that had antioxidants on it? Most people. Because you could go to the store and you could buy Cherry 7-Up, and you could even get, I think, Cocoa Pebbles. And they both will say antioxidants on the bottle and on the box. Is there any nutritionists in here? Let me ask you a question real quick. If I have Cherry 7-Up and Cocoa Pebbles every morning for breakfast, am I going to be healthier or less healthy as a result of that? Okay, then why do they put antioxidants on the labeling? To sell it. Because people will buy it, because this stuff matters to people. Now here's the problem. Antioxidants don't actually slow down the aging process in a human being. There's a book called The Antioxidant Myth that discusses why, but antioxidants do not, they do have health, I'm not saying they have no health benefits, but slowing down the aging process is not one of them. The thing that they are marketed and pitched and sold to do, they do not in fact do. And we know that. So here's what happened. 2005, there was a few gentlemen, a scientist and a couple of other gentlemen that got together and they helped formulate and develop a product that was 5 all-natural ingredients. And this was the beginning of a completely new area of science called nutrigenomics. Nutrigenomics is the study of how nutrition can actually affect your genes, your genetics. We're finding out now more and more that the stuff we put in our bodies actually affects us on a genetic level. It actually changes your DNA. Does that scare anybody? Or make you feel good? I don't know. It depends on what you had for lunch, I guess. Some people in here are like, I had Taco Bell for lunch. Oh my gosh. You don't want Taco Bell to be talking to your DNA, I promise. So that's the stuff we're putting in our body is affecting us on a genetic level. And so what happened is they took these 5 natural ingredients, none of which really do anything that significant on their own, but what they found is that if we put these 5 ingredients together in one product in the right proportion, it's going to turn on a gene. This is the most scientific thing I'm going to talk about right here. It's going to turn on a gene in your body called NRF2, okay? And this is kind of the gene that helps keep you young. When this thing is turned on, your body produces a lot of good stuff. Your body produces a lot of healthy things. Your body basically, to put long story short, it keeps you young. It slows down the aging process. And this product turns on that gene. It's really important to have that gene turned on. So what happened was they made a claim. The cool thing is, you can measure anyone's blood, and you can measure, there's a biomarker in the blood that they look at. You can measure this person's blood, take their blood test to the lab, and the lab can look at it and give you an estimate of roughly how old this person is. They can say, well, this person's 20, this person's 40, this person's 60, this person's 80, based on that biomarker we're looking at in their blood. Well, this scientist made a claim. He said after 30 days on this product, you can't distinguish between an 80-year-old and a 20-year-old by looking at their blood tests anymore. How many of you would be immediately skeptical if you heard someone say that? It sounds crazy, right? So ABC Primetime shows up to do an investigative report because that's what they do. John Quinones shows up with the camera crew, and I'm going to spoil it. Has anybody not seen the ABC Primetime special? You've all seen it? Okay, can I spoil it for you? Yes. I'm going to steal the suspense, okay? They take John Quinones into a lab and they pull his blood because we're not interested in symptom stuff. You know, anybody can be like, yeah, you know what, I took that product and my headaches went away and I'm sleeping better, and it means, how many of you are going to run off and buy something because someone says they feel better? As a matter of fact, we do that every day, don't we? And that's why, by the way, that's why the antioxidant industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, is because most of that stuff is being purchased on anecdotal evidence and not real science. Does that surprise anybody? Most of that stuff has no science. But what happened was they pulled his blood, and they said, there you go, you're 50-something years old. They put him on the product for 2 weeks, which is kind of not fair because the scientist said it took 30 days, and John Quinones, I guess, has some other things to do, so he's like, well, I'll give you 13. So gave him 13 days, slightly less than 2 weeks, took the product, and then they pulled his blood again on national television, and he had the blood of a child after 2 weeks. It's never happened before. No supplement has ever been clinically proven to actually slow down the aging process and change the things in this man's blood that changed things in people's blood that changed in this man's blood. And it actually worked on national television. All of a sudden, all these universities start to come forward. Places like Harvard Med School, the American Heart Association, pretty well-respected institutions and researchers saying, you know what, we need to study this stuff. And so now, right now, today, what you have is you've got a product called Protandim, and there's a few things I'm going to tell you about it. Number one, it has 20-something peer-reviewed medical studies from some of the most well-respected medical institutions in the country. They are not funded by the company. We haven't published the studies. They're independently funded. They're independently published. They're credible studies. It's actually research, okay? Multiple different types of studies. Human studies, in vitro studies, in vivo, lots of different angles that they've looked at this thing. And they have found that it does, in fact, slow down the aging process. As a matter of fact, there's a study from the National Institute of Aging where they did a 10-year study on this product, and they said that they believe this product can extend life by 7%. That was never even what we set out to do. We never talked about life extension. For all of you who've been with the company for almost a decade, did you ever hear anybody talking about extending life? It was just about trying to be healthier. And now the National Institute of Aging has a decade-long study saying that we believe this thing can extend life by 7%. It's an incredible thing. And so what this is, you guys, this product, in a very real sense, this product represents the iPhone when everybody's still putting quarters into payphones when it comes to wellness, when it comes to supplements. People are still buying the landline. And right now, we've got the iPhone, okay? Or the Samsung, for those of you weirdos that have Samsungs. Whatever smartphone you got, that's what we've got, right? However, here's the second piece of it. Right now, there's 330 million people in this country, and this is not scientific, but I'm going to just take a guess. I'm willing to bet that 329.9 million of them have never heard of this product at all, whatsoever. That will change over the next 5 to 10 years. We can't control that. So there's some things we cannot control. The fact that it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, this anti-aging, antioxidant supplement industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, can't control that. That's a fact. The fact that that industry is actually growing, we can't control that. That is also a fact. The fact that that technology it's Blockbuster, okay? It's Walmart. And we are introducing Netflix and Amazon to the marketplace. It's a better way. Rather than just shoveling antioxidants into your mouth, hoping something happens despite any lack of evidence, we actually can put a product in your body that will affect you on a genetic level to make you healthier and make you stronger and make you better. And we've proven it with blood tests over and over again. It is the iPhone, okay? It's the newer, better technology. We're at the forefront of this new wave of things, the new wave of research called nutrigenomics. And LifeVantage is the leading company in this area of nutrigenomics, okay? What's going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years is millions and millions and millions of people are going to find out about this stuff. We also can't change that. People are going to find out about this product, okay? The only thing you're in control of is, do you have the ability to recognize it, and do you have the ability or desire to take advantage of it? That's it. You guys, I was 24 years old when I started in this thing. I have to be careful how I say this because I'm on Facebook, so I can't make any income claims. I can't make any lifestyle claims. So let me think about how to say this. I don't wake up to alarm clocks anymore. Does that count? Am I safe? That's not a lifestyle claim, right? I'll never wake up to an alarm clock again. I'm in complete control of my life, every area of it, except for I do have 4 kids. So anything to do with like clean house, not having broken electronics, not having toilets back up, I'm not in control of any of that stuff. But when it comes to the other stuff, I'm in control of that. I'm in control of my calendar, and there's not a whole lot that's out of reach anymore for my family simply because of this opportunity, because I was able to just recognize that trend and take advantage of it. Here's the cool part. We've barely scratched the surface, you guys. It's a network marketing company, and I love the industry. And this, by the way, is another trend if you want to marry 2 trends. But right now, about 160,000 people a week in this country are joining a network marketing company. Does that surprise anybody? How many of you are sick of turning on Facebook and seeing 5 new friends a day that are posting all over Facebook about their new network marketing? Like, buy my candles all over Facebook. How many of you, honestly, if you guys, I'm being real, how many of you noticed that, like, in the last year, everybody on Facebook is doing network marketing now? It's like, wasn't that unpopular like just 5-10 years ago? That's like that thing that's like, that's only the thing you do if you can't find another way to make money. And now it's like everybody's, anyway, it's a really, really rapidly growing industry. I believe, my personal belief, I think the reason for that is because people are starting to realize that the traditional plan it's not working out well for everybody. How many of you know somebody who put in a solid 30, 40, or 50 years into something, a career of some sort, and they got nothing to show for it today? There is no pension, or if there is one, it's very, very small. That they're actually now having to rely on somebody else, on Social Security or on family to help them out, or maybe even worse, they're hitting retirement age and they're continuing to work. They're actually going to work at a place like Walmart in their 70s, which was never their plan. So I think people are realizing, you know what, that's not going to work. I need to find a way to get a side hustle going. I need to find a way to make some money. I need to go drive for Uber or Lyft or something like that. I got to sell some stuff on Amazon. I got to find a way to make money. Network marketing is the best type of side hustle you could possibly get going. Right now, there's 20 million people in this country, United States of America, 20 million people are currently participating in a network marketing company. 20 million, you guys, that's a lot. Here's the really cool part. 70% of those 20 million are millennials between the ages of 18 and 35. So what do you think that means for network marketing in another decade from now? How's network marketing going to look? It's going to look like it's one of those things people set out to do. People, by the way, I meet them all the time. I meet people that are 19 and 20 and 21 that want to be a professional network marketer. I tell them that's a good plan because you're not going to go $200,000 into debt to become a professional network marketer. And you don't need malpractice insurance to be a professional network marketer. All you got to do is go tell people, right? So anyways, it's a rapidly growing industry. It's a great industry because it allows an ordinary person like you and like me to recognize a massive trend. So if you're going to look within the network marketing industry, the way that you really can set yourself apart in this industry, because one of the problems is there's a lot of things out there that is just kind of a Me Too thing. And you guys have seen them, okay? How excited are you about another juice? How about the 1000th fruit juice in a different colored bottle with a funny name? How many of you want to see that again? Or how about this? How about a watch that can tell your heart rate? Groundbreaking technology. Let's do a network marketing company. How many of you are wearing an iWatch right now? Talk about being late to the party, for goodness sakes, right? I have an idea. I'm going to start a network marketing company. I have this thing it's cool. You put it on your head, and there's going to be a cardboard thing that comes out like that to block the sun. I'm going to call it a hat. So I'll start a network marketing. There's too many of those. So if you're going to look in this industry, why not find a company that actually has something that's industry disruptive? Not Me Too something, not just not the 1000th version of something, but something that's actually got patents, something that actually has research and science, something that actually, when it gets into somebody's life, is going to have a positive impact in that person's life. Is going to do good for them. If you can find that, but know about it before everybody else, you can change the game for yourself, absolutely. And that's what tonight's all about. That's what it did for me. It changed things for me, and it's the next 10 years is going to be awesome for this company. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do this to bring up the next individual, but there was an individual, one of the cool things about network marketing, those of you that don't know network marketing, one of the cool things about it, is there anybody that's ever owned a traditional business, you were the business owner, okay? How stressful is it having, you're the guy, it's inventory and shipping and paying people and, accounts receivable and accounts payable, all that stuff, right? The cool thing about network marketing is it gives you the opportunity to go be the entrepreneur, to go, start a business and get your LLC set up and take all the tax advantages and generate profits rather than wages. Like Jim Rohn said, profits are better than wages. And with a job, you have wages, but when you're in business, you get profits. So it gives you, network marketing gives you a chance to go make profits, but you don't have to build a company because there's already a company established. There's already a call center. There's already customer service. There's already people that take care of the warehouse and the shipping and do all that stuff. You don't have to worry about it. You find a customer. My customer buys from me. I don't give him product. The company ships him product directly to his door. He pays the company, and then the company sends me my commission. Really, really, really simple, right? Well, there was a gentleman that we've got excellent people that work at our company to support us as distributors. There's a gentleman, I want you to think about this for just a second. And I know I just said profits are better than wages, and I'd rather be an entrepreneur than have a job personally. However, if you're going to have a job, think about how this would sound, okay? What if you had a job where you had like a really nice income, like a 6-figure income, okay? And with that job, you got to go to these cool events multiple times a year. And you got to be around thousands of super excited, kind of probably overly excited people 3-4 times a year, and everybody just, everybody just loves you, and when they see you, they run up and want to shake your hand and take a picture with you, because I've seen this guy at events, and everybody just likes to say hi to him, and they all think he's great for some reason, I don't know. But everybody loves you, and not only that, the company flies you all over the world. They've sent you to places like Thailand and Australia, like all these really cool places on the company dime. You get to be a diamond medallion. Diamond medallion with Delta, which is like the highest status with Delta, okay? I'm going to tell you a quick story. I'm not making this up. I traveled with this gentleman one time, and we pull up to the gate, and I'm looking out my window while I'm waiting for them to turn off the seatbelt sign so we can stand up. I'm one of those, I do listen. I'm one of those people, I don't take off my seatbelt till I hear the ding. I obey the flight attendants. So I'm looking out the window, and I'm not joking. This is 0% joke. There was a Porsche on the tarmac. You know where those metal stairs that come up to the jetway that they bring the strollers and car seats up? Right next to that, there's a Porsche sitting there. And this is at LAX. And I'm like, that's a weird airport car, because usually the airport car is it's just a general car. I don't want to say a brand and insult somebody, but not Porsche. It's a not Porsche, right? Brand. And I'm like, that's weird. There's a Porsche on the tarmac. And I come to find out that some people are so special to Delta because their company sends them all over the world and they have all these miles that, this is not a joke, when this guy flies and has a tight connection, Delta sends a Porsche. This would be cool if they sent a Toyota Corolla. But they send a Porsche to the tarmac. He doesn't even go down the jetway like all the commoners, like me. He gets to go down the stairs where they bring up the strollers and stuff and get on his Porsche. Probably gets a foot massage in the car or something. They drive him to his next plane. How many of you ever experienced that before? How cool would that be? So anyways, that's your job. That's your job. Your job is you get to travel the world for free. You get to see all this cool stuff. You get to be around all these amazing people. And on top of that, we're just going to throw in a really nice six-figure income. And what this individual did was he, just a few weeks ago, decided to go ahead and quit. He quit his job, left it behind, because as he was working at corporate, supporting all these distributors, I'm going to tell you the truth of what happened. Because he'll tell you like this fluffy version about like, I just wanted to be a part of the field. And here's what really happened. He has access to our incomes. He can log into the computer and see what we all make. And the better he got to know us, he was like, these idiots are making way too much money. And that's totally the truth. You don't have to admit it, I know. He's like, he saw my check, he's like, I've shared a hotel with that guy. I don't know how he's making that kind of money. That guy's a fool. So he thought, okay, well, I'm going to make a lot of money. So anyways, he quit. Now here's what's unique about him. How many of you have started this business part-time? You've got a full-time job, you've got your side hustle going LifeVantage now, right? That's what most people do. That's what I would recommend doing. You do this part-time. Here's the problem. If you work at corporate, you can't do that. You can't start part-time because you can't be a distributor. And so what happened was when he's like, hey, I think I want to be a distributor, our CEO was, I'm probably paraphrasing here, but he was like, that's totally fine. You got to stop the income right now. So he kind of really had to commit. You want to talk about burning the boats. So I'm going to introduce him. This is a weird way to introduce him, but I'm going to introduce this gentleman as probably the only person in this room with no income. How scary is that? But that's a lot of faith. The dude's literally, he's betting everything on himself. He went all in, put all the chips in the middle of the table, and it's sink or swim. So with that, I want to bring up, I don't even know what to call you now, our former, I don't even use your corporate title, former corporate guy, but now newest distributor, Geraldo Durales. Come on up,
Can we give it up for Seth one more time? I gotta say, this is really weird. So I spent the last, we spent a couple of days last week with Seth in Kansas City. And I gotta say, for me, it was a really unique experience because I spent 9 years at this company. Started out, when I was about this tall, and then just grew up. And it's interesting because I was a corporate guy working in a call center. But before we get into that, a little bit of that story, I used to be a construction worker a little over 10 years ago. Anyone ever worked in construction before? Have you ever worked out in the snow at 7 in the morning shoveling snow off of plywood? Have you ever done that? Sucks, right? I did that a little over 10 years ago, and I realized real quickly I was building these multi-million-dollar homes. Two things I realized very quickly doing that job in the wintertime. One, I'm not doing this for the rest of my life. The second thing I realized was I got to figure out what people are doing to be able to afford to live in places like this. And it's crazy because life happened. If you recall 2007, 2008, what happened to the economy? Crashed, right? Well, I was one of the ones that I consider myself one of the lucky ones that they came up to me and laid me off. And most people will think, they'll say, man, I got laid off. That sucks. They're all down on themselves. Now I got to go find a job. For me, I was excited because, I think in any situations that life throws at us, I really believe life happens for us and not to us, right? And so it really depends on our angle and the way we're going to look at a situation. So I got laid off working construction, and then all of a sudden one day I get introduced to this network marketing thing where I was going to go and work on the corporate side and answer phone calls, right? Little did I know that my entire life after that was going to be an incredible adventure. I was going to be able to, I'd married my wife, who's right there, by the way. Can we give it up to the Mrs. Mikey? My wife had to endure 9 years of me being gone, but she actually worked at LifeVantage for 4 years before our little guy Lorenzo right there was born. And many of you have gone to see them, through social media and such. And it's funny because Dusty and I are really good friends. Dusty's a Pro 4 that moved here from California a few months ago, and he had never met my wife until just now. And he said, oh my gosh, she's real. I think he thought because, she was home, she was taking care of our son growing up. And so everyone thought probably she was photoshopped or something in our pictures, but she's real. But without her support over the last several years, I wouldn't have been able to get to where I got at the company. I started out in the call center, worked my way up all the way to become a director of sales at the company. And like Seth said, he shared a really real way of what my job was. There's a lot more to it, a lot of stuff happening at the office, but it was really a job that was awesome. I mean, who wouldn't want to be able to travel and meet a lot of people and get to see different places? But for me personally, as a family, we had goals. As a family, we wanted to do things, and in thinking about my job, I was just sitting, I was sitting in a really comfortable position. And I really believe that when you're comfortable, that's the moment you start growing. That's the moment that if you don't push yourself, you're not going to grow as a person. And I feel that as a family, we had an opportunity to really grow our belief in this company. What you heard today from Seth, I mean, it's true. I was sitting there at corporate getting to see all these people, seeing the vision of our company and jumping in and building something that, they're going to be able to pass on for generations and generations. My former boss, talks, he's been in the industry for almost 30 years. And here he was sharing about previously and other experiences he's had in other companies where people were third and fourth generation still receiving income from something their grandpa or great-grandparent did years and years ago. And so when I look at my life, I look at what I want to accomplish with my wife and my son, I felt that if I sat at this corporate job, even though it paid me really well, I was gone all the time, right? Was it hard on you, babe? So hard. And it was hard, being away from my son. 4 years of his life, we were separated for about a year of that. And for me personally, money's great, but if you don't have the time to spend with your family, you have to do something different. And I was willing to walk away from that because I believe so much in LifeVantage. I mean, what we heard from Seth today, it's incredible. We're literally going to be changing the world. The world is going to know about us, and we have an opportunity of being the first one. So I did not want to miss the boat. I was with the company when we were a $3 million a year company. We're at about $200 million now. And I missed the boat, I guess we could sound that way, but I gained a lot of experience and a lot of belief in what we have. And so that's where I made the decision together with my wife that we're going to be willing to step away from that role, but only, I believe, as a temporary way for us to really achieve our dreams. I think if I stayed at the company as a corporate guy, we would have achieved our dreams. I think it would have taken us a lot longer to do that. Now we have an opportunity through LifeVantage to really change our lives. And so looking at the incomes, I gotta tell you, it's all real. When you look at the income disclosure statement, if you're a guest here and you're like, what's this crazy Latino guy talking about? Whoever invited you, well, they can show you the income disclosure statement. But when you look at those numbers, I tell you, I testify to you, it's real, because I spent 9 years looking at those accounts. And finally, the timing was right for us to be able to make that change. So I'm only going to share one story with you tonight, and then we'll wrap it up. We wanted to keep this short and sweet, but I want to just paint a picture for you of what the situation is for a lot of people right now, okay? My dad, he came from the country of Uruguay with my mom. She was very pregnant at the time they came to the U.S. They didn't speak English. They didn't know anybody in this country. And when they came over, they said it's the American dream, so we're going to work, we're going to do all these things. They had 5 kids. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. And my dad had 2-3 jobs at a time while I was growing up. He was gone a lot. And just recently, I was returned from a trip, and my dad said, hey, let's have lunch. Come over. We're going to bring your siblings over. Let's have lunch together. He showed me a letter that he received from the Social Security office. Has anyone ever received a letter when you're getting close to retirement? Has anyone gotten that letter yet? I see a lot of young people. Well, there's a letter that comes, okay? And my dad got this letter. He said, read it. So I read it. He was 55 years old. He read this letter, and it said, hey, you're approaching retirement age. If you work an extra 7 years and you get to the age of 62, you're going to get $699 per month from us. Thank you for all those years of work, essentially. But don't worry. If you keep working for another 5 years, you're going to get a check now. We're going to bump that up to $899 per month. Pretty good, right? Can anyone survive on $899 after working so many years? No, right? Well, it said, don't worry. If you keep working for another 3 years until you're 70 years old, you're going to be getting $1,100 per month. So I looked at that, and I'm like, oh my gosh. My dad has to work for 45 years of his life to get our friends over at the Social Security office to send him $1,100 per month. Do you think my dad would be able to retire and enjoy life? No, he'd probably have to be one of those Walmart people, right? Greeting people at the door. And when I look at that, and I look at LifeVantage, when you have a chance to look at that income disclosure statement, those are legit numbers. We're a publicly traded company, so the company has to show you what the numbers are. That's the average income of a Pro 4 in our company. Who here is a Pro 4 already in the company? All right, you see hands going up. So as Pro 4s, if it took me 5 years to get to the rank of Pro 4, would you rather get 5 years working to get the same income or work 45 years and get what a Pro 4 would get? I mean, for me personally, I know that we have something incredible, and we have an opportunity of being the first. We have the opportunity of having the iPhone, as Seth said, before everyone else finds out about it. So I'm grateful for all of you that are watching here and all of you here. I'm grateful for the opportunity. Don't think I'm too crazy for leaving my job. It's something that I'm passionate for what we have, and I know it's going to be something incredible for our family in the years to come. So for those of you that are hearing this information for the first time, whoever invited you, if you have any additional questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. But you have an opportunity to look at this, and if it's something that you believe it's for you, that you want to make a difference in your life, and you don't want to be another person waiting for a Social Security check coming to you when you're in your 60s, we have an opportunity that's really special, being the first of an industry disruptor such as what we have here at LifeVantage. So we invite you, talk to whoever invited you. We're thankful that you came and took a night off to hang out with us here, but we look forward to seeing all of you at a next meeting, and appreciate it. Thanks so much.